Welcome back to the State and Local Sports Show here with Mark Tennis, the co-founder and editor of Cal High Sports, calhighsports.com. It is probably the most enticing week of high school football so far. A lot of crucial matchups across the spectrum, a lot of which are occurring here in Stockton and San Joaquin County. But the one that is really, I think, the most fascinating for most fans, and maybe statewide, is the one happening at Whittier College on Friday. That is St. Mary's, ranked number 1 in the section, number 7 in the state by Cal High, at St. John Bosco, who is ranked number 10 in the nation by USA Today. When you look at this matchup, Mark, what's a victory for St. Mary's? Is it staying within a couple touchdowns? Is it just proving they can hang for a while, or would it have to be an actual upset?
No, it doesn't have to be an actual upset. I would like to see them be somewhat within shouting distance at halftime. Even 3 or 4 touchdowns, a defeat might not be that bad. You have to think this season so far that St. John Bosco and Mater Dei and Corona Centennial and possibly Mission Viejo may just be at a way higher level than anybody else in the state. And that includes De La Salle, of course, too, and maybe any team in Northern California. So even if St. Mary's is a 3 or 4 touchdown loser in this game, doesn't mean they're some horrible team. It just means they're back there with teams like Servite of Anaheim and De La Salle and Del Oro and a lot of these others that might lose to Bosco by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, and I think the key for St. Mary's is if they're able to run the ball a little bit, get some possession time, keep the Bosco offense on the sidelines a little bit, and of course score some too. The score at St. Mary's is sort of is a little concerning, is the amount of points they gave up against Sarah in their first game was like 32. And Bosco's certainly a lot more explosive and abilities to score than Sarah is. So that's going to be, just trying to hold it down a little bit, is really crucial when you play Bosco.
Bosco won a CIF State Open Division title in 2013. That year, I believe they beat De La Salle that season.
Yeah, they beat them 20-14. Mm-hmm.
And in that game, ironically, the De La Salle quarterback was Chris Williams, who just played baseball for Delta College. So small world in the sporting world. Looking down here in San Joaquin County at the Valley Oak League, I'd say probably the best medium-sized school league in the section. You have Sierra hosting Oakdale. Sierra on a 9-game winning streak, including 3 games this year. Their senior quarterback, Mark Vicente, is completing over 70% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 2 game-winning touchdown passes. Do you think this is the year the VOL could see a shakeup? I do think it's possible. Manteca could overtake a Central Catholic. They might be a little bit more dynamic. Weston Ranch and Lathrop maybe more of a chance to stun the world by beating an Oakdale or hanging with them or a Manteca. Do you think this is the year maybe some anarchy takes hold there, or is it just the old trio again?
I think it's probably the old trio again. I think after the first week, when Oakdale had lost to Sonora, then the old trio, as you say, looked like it was a little bit of trouble. But then Oakdale turned around last week and beat Campo Lindo. And Campo Lindo is a school that has been 16-0 before, has won a state title in Division III. That was an impressive win. So, we're not sure about Manteca. Their schedule's a little weak so far. But they certainly look like they have a very strong team, and Central Catholic is Central Catholic, and I don't think they're going to be that bad. So until somebody actually beats one of these 3 at the top, which is it's possible, I probably would say no.
Lathrop heading to East Union this week, another VOL game. We like to talk about the power of a tough strike of the schedule quite often. Lathrop lost to Hillmar by 2 points and Franklin of Elk Grove by 6 points. Could have won both. Hillmar just gave Sonora its best test so far. Franklin has 7 consecutive winning seasons out of the Delta League. And a fun fact about Franklin is their coach, Mike Johnson, used to be Lincoln's coach. He actually won a section title at Lincoln back in 2000. He's the husband of Delta College women's basketball coach Gina Johnson. So for Lathrop, they had a tougher strength of schedule than the East Union last year. Didn't have as good a record as East Union. Beat them 35-0. It's tricky. These VOL teams, some of them know they need to get some wins before league play. Others confident enough they can get enough wins even in the league to make the playoffs. What are your thoughts for this matchup? I just think that Lathrop is a heavy favorite coming in again.
Well, especially when you look at last year and what happened last year, I think Lathrop would be a favorite for sure. We're not sure how good Franklin is, so that 38-32 score, traditionally looks like that's a really impressive score for Lathrop to play Franklin that close. But we're not sure. Franklin was only 2-0, and that the Delta League this year could have a shakeup of its own with teams like Sheldon being a lot better and Monterey Trail being a lot better. So we'll have to see. But just based on last year, it's hard to see how East Union's 36, 37 points better than they were last year than Lathrop was.
Western Ranch brings Central Catholic to Stockton. Their two all-time meetings, the Raiders have outscored the Cougars by a combined 89 points. It has been ugly. Western Ranch, though, I believe their coach Seth Davis is confident he's ever been in the roster. To me, the problem is, besides the fact, as you mentioned, Central Catholic coming off a bye, is that Western Ranch is really, really a running team, and Central Catholic really, really likes to throw 8 or 9 dudes in the box and stop the run. So I just don't think it's a good matchup for them.
No, it's probably not a good matchup for them. And Central Catholic, had the difficult game against St. Mary's. Then they have a bye. So these guys just itching to get out there and go out and beat somebody. And it's one of those games where you kind of feel sorry for the team that Central Catholic's going to play next, and unfortunately that's Western Ranch. But, you never know. Western Ranch has some explosive players. Maybe they can make some plays and return some kicks like they've done in some of their games and make it a game.
When the Sonora football team was in the Valley Oak League, they were always very good, especially for a school that has less than 1,000 kids, but they were just middling a lot of the times, maybe third or fourth place, just because they're playing bigger schools. I mean, their rival Oakdale is twice their size and student body. So they moved back to the Motherlode League. Coaches there don't like it, of course. I mean, the overwhelming feeling was kind of like when Central Catholic came to the VOL, as they're not necessarily welcome. And sure enough, Sonora 12-0 so far since its return to the MLL. But both teams undefeated this week as Calaveras hosts Sonora. I'd say Calaveras still, even at home in San Andreas, a heavy underdog. They've really got to control the ball and just keep running in 4 or 5 yard bursts. What are your first impressions of this matchup as someone tries to finally shake up the hierarchy there?
The big dog is looking really good. Sonora's win over Oakdale to start the season is looking really more impressive, and Oakdale turns around and beats Camp Alindo. Sonora is a team that arguably could be one of the top 14, 15 teams in the whole section, regardless of school size. So it's one of the best teams maybe they've had in quite a while, and I think they're going to have it's going to be very difficult for any of the teams in the MML to stay close to them.
I got to tell you, and I know we didn't really talk predictions, but when I look at all 5 of these games, I see the storyline of the underdog making an effort, but I just see Bosco over St. Mary's, Oakdale over Sierra, Lathrop over East Union, Central Catholic over Western Ranch, Sonora over Calaveras. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament. Your brain likes to trick you into thinking there's going to be a ton of upsets, but really it's probably not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen, and that's why most people that do predictions in high school are about 75-80% right, because their upsets are hard to get, especially with these upper echelon programs.
Something new that Cal Sports or something that they're doing again is quite cool is a state volleyball rankings. Top 20, top 25? We
were going to do top 20 in the state. Yeah, top 20 state rankings, and we started it on Wednesday of this week, and it was a little easier to do because almost all the top teams were in the same tournament. They all went to the Durango Fall Classic in Las Vegas, so there were a lot of results to look at, but it did make it easier in that sense because they all played each other, a lot of them.
CalISports.com, the Gold Club membership, all of your state record books. Always fascinating to see the insider content. They have Sac Joaquin section football rankings now, top 25. All that less than $20 a year, less than $2 a month. And thanks for joining me, Mark.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you very much.